afraid of is us as black men. We lost the war against white people. That's why they dominate us. We lost it. Our women don't respect us because a white guy is gonna come up to you and disrespect you, and there ain't fuck all you can do about it. Not to say that your wife disrespects you, but I'm just saying, if that were to ever happen, there's nothing you can do about it because you don't have the capital, you don't have the power to act against the forces against you as black men.
This is probably one of the most important videos that I have on this channel. I've essentially published 82 videos in less than a year. I've tried to make them high quality. I've tried to make them progressive and productive in society. And I hope those that have subscribed, because we are nearing 1,000 subscribers, which I'm very proud of. But unfortunately, the subject matter for today's video is around racism. What I've learned and come to see is that as soon as you experience it yourself firsthand, that is when you're going to feel the real existential nature of racism in South Africa, in this country. So I'm about to share my experience. Yesterday, I was with a bunch of friends and cousins of mine. We're chilling at the crib. But it was the UEFA Champions League final between Liverpool and Real Madrid, right? So we couldn't have just continued to sit at the crib. We had to then go out, go vibe with people, feel the atmosphere of the final. I stay in Boksburg, so there aren't many choices of joints where you can go and chill and have fun. So I decided to just go there with my friends to a place called Wildebeest, right? I hadn't been there before. But I'd always see that it gets packed, gets rowdy. So I assumed it's a very entertaining, nice place. So the gents I knew could have fun, especially because if it gets packed like that for a sporting event such as the final of the UEFA Champions League, it will definitely be something worth experiencing. So we go there, we drive there with the gents. We're all excited. Obviously, you know. When we get there, at first we like, yo, the way it's so packed, let's go check out any other places within that shopping center. And there's a news cafe there. So we go there. And when we get there, it's not so packed there. And it's like a restaurant type of vibe, right? People are seated, nice music is playing, of course, but people aren't really focused on the TV screen in terms of the final for the game and so on. And in fact, at that point in time, the game would be starting in like possibly 30 minutes to an hour's time, right? So we decide, no, let's just go where it's packed at that Wildebeest, live at Wildebeest place. When we get there, the first thing they ask us, the bouncers, so there were two bouncers at the entrance, as is always the case, just like when we went to News Cafe, there were two bouncers, they searched us, and then we went in, we checked out the atmosphere, went out. But when we get there, these dudes ask for IDs. Guys, the youngest amongst us is my brother, who is 30 years old, right? I'll put a photo of him here. Guys, you wouldn't mistake that guy for younger than 18, though he still looks young, but he's the youngest among us, right? The eldest amongst us is 35, right? And turned 35 this year. Then the rest of us range within 30 and 35, since I'm 33, going on 34 this year. So they asked for IDs, which is the first red flag for us. So I asked the guy, why do you want IDs? He's like, rules are rules, IDs, you know? Then I'm like, okay, we have licenses. Are those acceptable? He says, no, only IDs. Eban. Which was very strange, obviously. Why would you want IDs for an establishment? I mean, we've been to places. This thing of IDs is not common, especially when you can see, you know? So it's fine. He says, if you're not going to follow the rules and you're asking too many questions, just step aside, you know? So a friend of mine is like, I wonder if you ask the white guys also for IDs. Then the other bouncer who's having a burger right next to the guy. So he's still on duty, but I guess maybe they take turns in terms of it's your turn to eat or whatever the case may be. He's like, why do you always have to go the racism route, you know? It has nothing to do with black and white. It's the rules of the establishment. Then we're like, but what's the basis? What's the logic behind you asking for IDs? right? What's the basis for that? Because for one, the bouncers themselves are not South African, they're foreign nationals. So it wouldn't be that they don't allow foreign nationals in the establishment, that's why they want an ID, right? And it can't really be the issue of age. As I say, we all look like adults, we present ourselves as adults, and we're cool, calm, and collected, right? All we're doing was then interrogating the procedure. They step us aside, especially the fact that he says IDs, driver's licenses are also not acceptable as IDs for us to enter the establishment. So red flag number one. Oh, red flag number two, there were some white guys, like they look like managers of the place, whatever, but they were just behind the bouncers at the entrance. But so, guys, this is how they were standing, right? So that also was strange for me. Why would these guys just stand there behind the establishment, only for us to realize that they were probably also monitoring who goes in, who comes out, and whatever the case may be. So what happened next is that as I was chatting to this bouncer who's chowing his burger, he's like, let me tell you guys the reason why IDs are wanted. Black guys, when they come into this establishment, what they want to do or what they do is they steal other people's drinks. They don't buy drinks. You know, we're like, what the flip? What the, you know? We're like, what the hell are you saying, dude? Are you saying that black guys can't afford drinks in this establishment, right? Then he's like, yeah, based on the experience of the establishment, that's what happens. Two white people come through, right? Then for the sake of us who are there, he's like, IDs, IDs. Then the two white people present the IDs. Then four white people pull through and another person. Then I'm like, why didn't they ask this person for an ID? Because all she did was like greet and go through. Then like, why didn't you ask for an ID there? She's like, no, that person works there. We're like, okay, cool. Then four white people, two gents and two ladies just come through. They don't asking for IDs, right? So that's another red flag, number three. Then I tell the gents, okay, gents, since we want the game and News Cafe is not a vibe, let's just present our licenses. Luckily, all of us have driver's licenses. And the guy who was chowing the burger says licenses are acceptable. So already, in terms of the policy, it's obviously clear at this point, or it's not a real policy, or we must produce IDs. Because the one bouncer says even a driver's license is not acceptable. The other bouncer says that a driver's license is acceptable, right? So I go to the guy that said that driver's license is not acceptable. I say, but your guy that you work with says driver's licenses are acceptable. He says, okay, show me your license. So I present my license to him. He checks it out. I don't even know what he was looking at, right? I doubt he was looking for the date of birth. Come on. I wish I looked younger than 18. I wish, you know? So he just looks at it, glances over it for like a few seconds, then gives it back to me, says it's fine. Then the gents start presenting. Then my brother, whom I said is the youngest amongst us and also looks the youngest amongst us, his license is also presented. The guy looks at it, looks at my brother, looks at it again, looks at my brother, then he's like, pull through. One of my friends was still going to the car to get his license during this period. So we get in. Here's the funny part. When we enter the establishment, there are TV screens everywhere, and two of them are actually showing the game. So they're showing the players warming up and getting ready and everything else. Then one of the waiters, black, mind you, pulls through to us and says, you guys need assistance. Then we're like, no, we just need a table where we can see the screen because we're here for the game. Then he's like, okay, cool. We go, how, Chigi, the guy's not there even assisting us with getting a table. Okay, fine. We adults, we can get our own tables. We go there, we start looking for tables that are near the TV screen. As we find a table, we are blooming, how, the TV screens are now showing rugby. Okay, showing rugby. Then my best friend, Baba Chesa, goes to one of the guys that I said was standing like this as we entered. Now he was inside. So it's almost as if he followed us into the establishment. So Baba Chesa then is asking him, Ore, we're here for the game. Can you maybe perhaps change the channel so that we can watch the game, right? And it's packed, guys. I don't want to lie. But who is it packed with? It's packed with only white folk. Only white people, only white guys and ladies are there. And when I say it's packed, it's packed. So there's a zone where it's like where the DJ is playing, people are dancing, loud music. And then there are zones where it's just tables. Then there are zones where it's like your pool tables. So people are playing pool and the like. And that's where the TV screens are. So that the tables that we are at are like a bit behind, but we can still see the screen, right? So that's all good and well. Then the guy tells Chisa, or no, we only have one channel. It plays rugby only, and we don't have remotes. Oh, for real? So now, because Lena was a bit tipsy, I'm like, hey, maybe I didn't see properly, but I could have sworn I saw soccer players when we arrived at the establishment. Baba Chisa pulls through at the table. One of the waiters, another one who's a lady, comes to our table and asks, have you guys been assisted? We're like, no, there's a waiter that did pull through and say that he's going to assist us, but he hasn't really pulled through to assist us. So maybe you can start taking our orders. The lady then says, okay, I'm coming back. She goes away. Baba Chisa pulls through to the table. He's like, gents, Bari, the soccer channel doesn't play. They only have one channel. It plays rugby. In awe again, I'm like, I could have sworn I saw soccer on those TV screens, right? But then I tell the gents, okay, gents, we have no choice. Let's go back to News Cafe. We'll create our own vibe, right? The gents agree. As we are leaving, no kidding, guys, as we are leaving, before we exited, the guy takes the remote, puts the soccer channel on. Super Sport 203. He puts it on as we are leaving the establishment. This place, as it is, it's packed with only white people. The managers are white. The staff, so the waiters and the guys at the bar are black, and the bouncers are black. So that's the ethnical demographic, or the race statistics, if I can put it as that, right? So they put the channel back on and it's soccer. And as we are leaving, we all turn, we like, what the flipping hell just happened? What the flipping hell just happened? At this moment, we are pissed. We are pissed. Like, it was blatant. It was blatant racism. They didn't want us in that place. The bouncers made up some foolish story. So they've been programmed, which is sad themselves. They've been programmed to think that us as black people, we can't afford drinks. Imagine, we can't afford drinks, yet we live in these neighborhoods with these people, right? I mean, my neighbor just behind me is white with his family. My neighbor on the other side, also white. The one that I'm pointing at now, we actually have conversations now and then. We greet, he's friendly. Even when he throws his parties and stuff, he invites us. The one behind me, we don't even speak. We don't greet each other. Pure racism from when we moved into this place about 2 years ago. Then there's two opposite us, right? Those two houses, also white. And then the husband there also has that attitude, that racist attitude, no greeting, no nothing. So we don't bother ourselves with them. The wife, on the other hand, does greet us, does have conversations with us. When I jog, I sometimes bump into her and we jog together. It's all good. And then the other one, they just close shell. So I can't even judge their character because we hardly see them, right? But this thing, it exists. Racism is there. Racism exists. So it's fine. We leave the establishment and go to News Cafe. When we're at News Cafe and as we enter, I tell the bouncers there, I'm like, guys, we came into this establishment and I actually had a chat with you guys and said we're going to check out the other place. Why didn't you guys actually highlight to us so that place is a type of place where blacks are not welcome, right? The bouncers like, what did they do? I'm like, they requested ID. The boss was like, what? They requested ID. I'm like, yeah, they requested ID. And then further to the ID issue, I narrate the story to him while the gents go into News Cafe, get a table next to the screen, and, they start ordering drinks. The bouncers, they tell me what a lot of other blacks have experienced similar things. Live at Wildebeest, that's the place, that's the establishment. That's why I have to name it. It's in Boksburg at a center where there's other stores, franchise stores, Steers, Fisherways, Debonair's, there's Classic India, there's News Cafe and some other restaurants and stuff. It's a very sad experience, so it really pissed me off, right? But besides pissing me off, we sat at News Cafe, and for like 30 to 40 minutes, all we were doing was chatting around our experiences when it comes to racism. The first thing I told the gents, I don't have a major following, obviously, on Twitter, but that's where I'll push it. Hashtag racism. I'll tag the place. I'll narrate the story, and I hope it gets traction so that people are aware. Well, racism is there. Racism exists. As sad as it is there. Then I told the gents I'll also put our story and experience on Facebook. I'll put it on LinkedIn. I'll put it on Instagram. I'll put it on WhatsApp, everywhere. Because the other thing is also a societal experiment, right? I need to see that the people that are in my circle, how do they react? Whether they are black, whether they are white, Indian, colored, that demographic, I need to see how they react to this type of situation, to this type of experience. At the same time, I want to use it as an opportunity to expose this blatant racism that happens at these type of establishments. What they do, these establishments basically have a situation where they want their establishments funded by black people, right? So while we're discussing, I told Chase, I'm like, but I'm worried. Should I actually put this on social media? Because what's going to happen, the black guys are going to react, the colored guys are going to react, the Indian guys may also react, but it's unlikely that the white guys will react, right? Number two, what impact will this have on exposing this establishment? Because clearly they already have a customer foundation base or a power base of customers, which is already white. So what impact from a business profiteering experience or perspective will this experience actually have? Me posting it, me publicizing it, me exposing this particular situation, what will it actually have? What impact will it have? Then Chesa actually highlighted a very important thing. He said, in as much as we'd like to believe that all people are racist, all white people, right? Not all of them are. So some of them actually hate this type of behavior, and some of them will actually stop supporting such establishments. Then he narrated a story around a gym membership situation that happened where one of those club managers or whatever was trying to rope in some guys for the gym who were white, and he was excited to highlight that you'll be happy that there are no blacks that come to this gym. And the gym got sued for that by a white person, right? Because they don't prescribe to that type of attitude, to that type of behavior, and that type of racism, blatant racism, right? So I wanted to put this experience out there because it also sparked a lot of conversations. Tito, one of my cousins, studied at UCT for like 5 years, right? And as he was there, ke groover man, Baba wa groover, he went to a lot of clubs there, and he highlighted that the reason he's not fazed by the experience and the reason he's not as pissed as we are is because when he was there, Western Cape, Cape Town, he experienced this almost every weekend, right? And the saving grace for him was the fact that he had a lot of white friends. So some of the establishments that didn't want white people had to basically tolerate the presence of Tito and his mates because the friends were white. So Toluti, I'm arriving at an entrance of that particular club or whatever, then my friend who's white is calling me from inside, then the bouncers have no further reason but to let me in. But there were instances where, because there were no white friends at that particular point in time, he couldn't enter those establishments. So this thing is normal in certain places in this country, right? And that's why they are even fighting to have the Western Cape as this independent state, such as Eswatini or Lesotho and the like, because they want to perpetuate and carry on and create the laws that they value as that race. They want to perpetuate and actually continue with that particular perspective. That is ridiculous in this so-called rainbow nation of South Africa in this day and age. So I put it on all those social media platforms and people are actually responding. Not Twitter, because as I said, this algorithm thing, it actually sickens me because this is an important issue. This place needs to be exposed. And yet, this algorithm, it will choose. If it was a white person, I'm guessing, who put that on that particular platform, it would have reached more traction even if they don't have much of a following, right? But for somehow, when they claim that our race plays no role, when they take their statistical references in anything, it does play a role because they feed into these algorithms so that things are not spread when they are spread by a particular race, right? You need to be popular at most to share certain things that don't favor us as Black people. It's very upsetting and makes me very sad. It makes me angry. It pisses me off. Right? It pisses me off. And I don't like the fact that as Black South Africans, we still have to go through that in this rainbow nation. The money that we have serves the same value, right? It's worth the same. The establishments, the land that we live on, the land that we purchase, it serves the same value, right? So now, instead of just sharing my frustration, I'm actually feeling like I'm venting and I'm ranting in this situation. The whole point of this video is to basically highlight that racism is still there. Some of the comments that were on Facebook and Instagram and the like, they were highlighting racism has existed for over 400 centuries. As the Black people were enslaved, were captured, were taken abroad, to work as slaves. We built the foundation for much of these affluent countries, these affluent nations. We built that specific foundation, right? And it's very upsetting that even to this day, this thing continues, right? And we know that it exists. We know that it exists. But what happens is that until you experience it yourself, like we experienced it yesterday, all of us, it was a first time experience, except, as I said, for Tito, my cousin, who lived in the Western Cape for a while. Until you experience racism directly and blatantly, that's when you actually feel the anger of those that have felt it. Like I grew up with Sloras in a very small home. My mother worked hard, eventually got us into a nicer side of Vosloo. And we went to your Model C schools. We did well. And then now one has progressed in life, right? But it's said that progress means having to move into these white neighborhoods, these white estates, and these white affluent areas. It's said that that is what denotes progress and success. We have to share the environment with them for us to deem ourselves successful. People in the hood, people kokasi, people in informal settlements, they live in such a way that they experience racism every single day. So what happens is that Reina, as we progress, we move out of that neighborhood because we don't want to feel that same experience where you wake up every morning to go serve a bus, right? They live in that environment and experience racism every single day. So this video is to just highlight that you, as a Black child, don't ever forget that racism exists. Educate yourself about the Black race, about us as Africans, about us as the Black people, the natives of this country. Read the necessary Black struggle books. Learn from leaders that are deceased and leaders that exist, right? Your Steve Biko, your Sobukwe, learn about their legacies. Also watch this channel because I do have videos that actually speak about what human rights actually mean in this day and age. That actually, I have big book reviews that try and uplift the Black person and try to actually make them become better, more confident, and actually believe in themselves as Black people. Watch YouTube channels that are educational, sorry. Watch YouTube channels that are educational. There's the Hustler's Corner, Virtual Mkuku, where there's DJ Sbu and Penyo, the black pen. They have guests. Like recently in April, they had a number of guests. They teach spirituality. They teach about the black struggle. They bring guests that bring value around finances, around politics. It's an educational channel just like mine. So let's build and learn from that. Let's never forget how racism exists, and let's try build ourselves so that there's a point in time where we don't need to share spaces with people like this. At the same time, let me be brutally honest to say there are some good white people out there, because on my WhatsApp, my status is open to a lot of people. There's only a few people that are blocked from seeing my status. And the first person that responded to that post is a white person, right? A white person that I met coincidentally because they needed a code for one of my services. And then we just kept in touch, right? Because when you click with people, it happens. She was the first person to basically comment and say she's sorry that we had to experience such a sickening thing, and that these people and establishments actually exist in this time and this point in our existence. All right, I hope this video was of value, and I hope it reminds you as a black child that no matter the circumstances, never forget that you are a black child. Never forget the value that you can provide to people. Never forget that everything that we learn and try to build, we are superimposing for the benefit of these angels of ours, of these kids of ours. And never forget to subscribe to this channel so that you can get my viewpoints on important subjects and get my perspective.
Enjoy this video. Get the red button, click it, you subscribe to this video.
Where, my baby girl? You see now, you are talking.
And a thumbs up.
Champion.
And I want 3 medals.
Wow, good girl. So I love you guys. It starts with you, and never forget it. Cheers, guys. Most importantly, I know that you've been watching this video and your attention was obviously on this fever blister, right? It happens, guys. But when something touches you, you'll speak even when you have dry lips. When you have a papa last experience, you'll still speak the truth and share that experience. And I wanted to do it today and no other day because it's still fresh in my mind. And of course, my team won Real Madrid. Thank you to 𝐌𝐿𝐤𝐜 𝐔𝐬𝐞𝐝 for actually being brilliant hosts and not trying to basically perpetuate this racism that you experienced. Thank you so much. It starts with you. Cheers.